Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Kimberly Boscheman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive podcast. In this episode, we are going to take a deep dive into the energies and the numerology for October 2022. We're also going to look at not only how these energies will affect the collective, we're also going to break it down into each life path number. And for each life path number, we're also going to take a look at how the new moon and the full moon illuminations for the month will potentially affect your energy. And we also have a partial solar eclipse that's occurring on October 25th. So there is a lot going on this month. This, of course, is a general forecast. If you would like a personalized reading and coaching session, you can find my information in the description box below. I would absolutely love to work with you, and that one-on-one will give you a better idea of the energies, the numerology that your soul has signed up for in this lifetime, and how to potentially best work with them. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So October is a potentially volatile, there's a lot of volatile energies circulating this month. Of course, just because the energy is there and it carries a certain amount of weight, it's really what we do with the energy that's going to make the difference, right? I always say that it's how we participate, it's how we show up. You can have volatile energy, you can have challenging energy, but if you can move through it, change your perspective, change, again, how you participate with the energy, the outcome will be derived from your actions, not necessarily from the energy, right? So just kind of keep that in mind, because this can be somewhat challenging energies that are really at the focal point for October, to be completely honest. It's a 16/7 universal cycle. So I would say the key word for the month of October is awakening. The influencing energy of this 16 is really what I want to focus on, because that 16 energy can bring about major transformational events that can have the power to completely change the course and the direction of someone's life. So in tarot, the 16 energy is represented by the Tower card. So often when we think of Tower energy, we think of massive destruction, chaos, or crumbling of major parts or points of our lives that need to be then rebuilt, and typically rebuilt in a different way so that they can be more sustainable. So this, of course, can be one aspect of this energy, and there are people who this month will see those energies come in full force to dismantle something that's not working and to basically crumble it down so that it can be rebuilt in a way that is much more beneficial for the long run, right? But this energy can also represent major realizations and aha moments that allow us to sort of come out of the other side of a particularly challenging situation with much more self-awareness and strength, and then armed with that self-awareness or clarity, right, around a situation. And then we can choose to make different decisions around that situation, around relationships, around career, around purpose, whatever, wherever this energy shows up. And again, if everything in your life at this moment through October is pretty good, is moving pretty well, you feel pretty sound and secure, sometimes life will throw curveballs, but for the most part, if things feel like they're pretty solid and you've been doing a lot of work, inner work, outer work, whatever, you may not really feel these energies too intensely, right? You may have gone through this energy previously that helped you to rebuild in the way that you needed to rebuild. And so for you, it may be that someone that you love or someone that you know is really moving through these energies, and you're just called to sort of hold space and to help them through it. So that's really possible as well. So the 16 and the Tower energies are not disempowering energies. I want to make that very, very clear. A lot of times, again, it's kind of like we see Tower energy come in, or we see 16 energy come in, and we're like, oh shit, like, what is the universe going to do to me now? Or what is life going to do to me now, right? Like, there is definitely things in life that we cannot control. But we can control, again, like how we show up, how we change our our perspective around whatever the situation is to make it work for us, even if it looks different than how we feel it should look, or it looks different than how we expect it to look. There is empowerment in that process. There is this sense of gaining your power back when you realize that, yeah, you don't always have control over what's happening to you or other people's actions or whatever, but you absolutely have control and power when it comes to how you show up to the situation, how you choose to participate, the decisions that you choose to make around a situation. You always have that ace in your hand, right? Always. So the Tower energy, the 16 energy are not disempowering energies. They are very much empowering energies that assist us through this sort of divine intervention in making much more aligned and supportive decisions when it comes to the direction of our own lives. Now, again, people can go through these sort of Tower 16 energy moments or periods and still continue to make the same choices. And guess what? They're just going to continue to face very difficult challenges around those experiences until they come to their own realization that maybe I need to do things differently. Maybe I need to participate differently. Maybe I need to call in and surround myself with different types of people, right? A different vibration. And so, again, it always, always, always comes down to how we choose to participate. We are always in the driver's seat. So it isn't always, of course, the most comfortable experience while we're in the middle of it. However, once we are on the other side of it, we're often very grateful for the much needed transformation, the much needed clarity, and the greater understanding around maybe where it was that we were stuck, maybe where we had blind spots, maybe, again, where it is that we kept showing up in a particular way that was influencing the experience in a way that was not working, right? So again, this is an opportunity for much greater understanding. And again, that sort of awakening where it's like once you sort of wake up to this, whatever this is, you can't not know it anymore. You can't not see it, right? So again, as I mentioned at the end of the month, we have a very significant solar eclipse occurring on October 25th. That's in the sign of Scorpio, which of course Scorpio is the epitome of death, transformation, rebirth. It is the epitome of Tower energy. Because it's ruled by Pluto and co-ruled by Mars, right? And so this month, not only do we have the 16 energy, but it coincides very much with the Scorpionic energy that we've got throughout a lot of the month as well, especially the latter portion of October, especially at that eclipse. And I think that eclipse, for a lot of people, where there needs to be some kind of mass transformation, where there needs to be some kind of again, change in direction. I think that eclipse is going to be a pivotal point for a lot of people. Again, when it comes to these energies of the 16-7. And so I think that we'll probably see the 16 energy be most sort of condensed or, most potent around the time of this eclipse. And now also with the eclipse energy, that energy can can start a storyline or continue a storyline, but that we'll see play out for maybe the next 3 to 6 months, right? So it's not like in October or around this eclipse that we're going to necessarily see all of these things happen or this massive awakening occur within our lives or on a global stage. Remember, this is also playing out on a global stage. But this can be the initiation. This can be sort of that lightning strike. And then for the next several months, sort of see how that plays out. And so a lot more clarity will come in and a lot more of this like awakening potential will come through in the next 6 or so months. So just kind of keep that in mind. But it does have the potential to be very life altering where it needs to be. That's the key. It's, again, these energies don't work against us. This is the universe working with our soul to get us to where it is that the soul wants to get to in this lifetime, right? And so when the energies are at play, it comes in where it needs to. And so it's very much, even when it seems challenging, especially when it seems challenging, these are assisting energies because sometimes we need that kick in the butt to change direction, to see things differently, to get out of our own sort of drama and our own storyline to, again, get a much broader perspective. And so it's very beneficial. These energies are very beneficial, even though they can be incredibly uncomfortable. So when it comes to the 16/7 cycle, the sort of unforeseen and sudden events of this period are, again, meant to sort of overthrow existing conditions, including in the material sense. So poor habits are included with this, and belief systems are also going to be included in this. So if we have a certain belief system that has not been working, this energy will assist in shaking it up. We could easily see, again, big shakeups on the global stage now, as well as in our personal lives. That's very, very possible. Again, this can kind of, a lot of times with 16 or Tower energy, there has to be this breaking point. There has to be this chaotic culmination sometimes. And so first you're going to see that before you see everything crumble, and then before you can rebuild. That's sort of what makes it so uncomfortable. And so again, we could easily see this play out on the global stage, and that can look like chaos. That can look like volatility. That can look like things just falling apart. But it needs to, so that we can rebuild in a much more elevated fashion, right? So things that are done at this time or have been done, I would say have been done for strictly selfish reasons that also aim to hurt others, that can absolutely have a boomerang effect and cause great loss for the instigator. So it's sort of like instant karma. I think of like the John Lennon song, Instant Karma. Instant karma's gonna get ya. It's kind of like that. So it's not only like, things that have been in the process of being done for selfish reasons to hurt other people. It's also things that are instigated at this time that are being done for personal gain, and that also have the aftermath of hurting others. Any situation like that, you're going to see over the next several months, there be this like massive boomerang effect where it's like, it comes back to that instigator. There may be it may wreak havoc, in its path, but it's going to come back to the instigator. So there's no sort of getting out of this if your intentions are ill-willed. Whatever it is that you instigate, initiate under this energy has the potentiality to come right back at you, just like instant karma. Whether you believe in karma or not, it's kind of like, so it's going to find its way back to you. So I would be I would check your integrity before taking action this month. And that's not to like scare you. That's just, if what you're doing is out of the kindness of your heart or out of sort of vindictiveness or trying to get ahead and stepping on whoever you can step on or whatever, right? We know when something is good. We know when something is bad. We know if something is good for us and others. We know if something isn't, just from the way that it feels, right? So there's no kind of getting around that. As much as you may want to do something for selfish purposes, I would highly recommend maybe not doing that. It's one thing to do things for a selfish reason if it's not hurting anybody else, right? Including yourself. And I would really say if it's not hurting other people, right? Because you have free will. But just check the integrity before you take any major risks this month, especially if it has the potential to. If it goes against the goodwill of others, maybe don't do it. Okay. So in matters of the heart, under 16-7 energy, where there has been deception or lies, these areas can come to light now to be dealt with. So if there's been like a separation from a close partner or someone who you feel a close soul connection with, and trouble in relationships typically, right, generally speaking, often stem from some kind of ego, pride, and emotions that haven't been properly dealt with. And so we can have the opportunity to properly do that now. Again, if we choose to. I mean, it will surface and then we can decide how we want to address it. But it's very possible under the 16-7 energy. Remember, this is awakening energy. It's going to bring things to light. And that includes in relationships or matters of the heart. And so again, it's that digging deeper and getting to the truth of the matter. So if there's anywhere where you haven't been completely honest with a partner or somebody who you're close with, chances are that is going to come to light in one way or another. Because as the saying goes, the truth always prevails or comes to the surface, right? And under 16-7 energy, it's really hard to keep those things hidden. So it's very possible that those things will come to the surface. And so it's much better for everyone involved if you are just upfront and honest about whatever it is, get it out in the open, deal with it, and then move from that space, as opposed to it coming to light and then having to try to clean that up, right? Just save your energy, deal with whatever it is that you need to deal with, and work through it in whatever ways. And remember that, you have the choice to handle it however you want to handle it, and so does your partner or the other person. And you have no control over what they choose to do, but you do have an opportunity at this time to, by invitation, before divine intervention comes in, to just bring it to the light, just get it out there, right? And just deal with the aftermath. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there. The energy operating under this cycle can feel really, really intense. So try not to overwork. Try not to take big, huge risks in business, financially, or in relationships now, unless it's something that you have been working towards for quite some time or prior to this energy sort of coming in, which I would say we've probably been feeling for at least a month now. Be really careful about engaging in conflicts with others now. Like I said, this can be volatile energy. And so again, things can be brought to the surface now that can really get people's emotions sparked. There can be a lot of reactivity. So just, maneuver those waters, gently, right? And if it's not the right time to try to, talk through whatever it is that you need to talk through or work through, whatever you need to work through, because the other person or you are not in the right headspace, then just pause, take a breath, and wait until the energy feels a little bit less volatile, because there is the potentiality, like I said, for things to really flare up now and come to light, and you don't know how other people are going to handle that. So I would say be very careful about reactivity, be very careful about engaging in those conflicts with others. This is a month where personal peace over the need to be right will be worth more than its weight in gold. So where you can choose personal peace and harmony this month, that is going to, not avoidance, right? Like, but having the conversation and letting the person know, I'm not in the headspace, or maybe you're not in the headspace. Let's push the pause button. Let's wait and come back to this. We're not going to avoid it. We're not going to dismiss it. We'll come back to it when we're in a better place. That is going to be so much more beneficial than trying to butt heads over whatever this is. This can also be an incredibly ambitious period where we feel like we have more energy and drive than we know what to do with. So take note of those big ideas and focus that energy on planning and getting your ducks in a row now. Do your research, work to assemble your team, or get funding, or come up with your business plan. The insights that can come in under this energy do hold the potential to be very, very successful. You know, there can be a potentiality here for eventual fame, prosperity, and great financial gain, especially if there is integrity behind what it is that you're building towards and you aren't obsessed with ownership. That's a big one. Because again, this is kind of like Pluto energy, even a big dose of like Mars energy, and Plutonian, like Pluto energy can be very obsessive. It can really be obsessed with like ownership and like control and those things, right? It's a power energy. It's very much like a dominating, powerful energy. And so just check your integrity behind whatever it is that you're building at this point or what you're moving towards, and make sure that you aren't obsessed with ownership. And of course that goes with relationships as well. So just keep checking in with yourself. With this big burst of sort of fiery energy, we may feel at this time, like we're just sort of consumed by it. So try to channel that energy into a controlled burn that is going to be sustainable rather than something that's sort of combustible and that burns out really quickly, leaving us feeling depleted. Because that's very, very possible with all this energy. That sort of type of over expenditure could eventually take a toll on our health. And so we need to make sure we slow down and we steady the pace. Because just remember that, there isn't necessarily unlimited kindling. We want to make sure that we have this slow burn so that we can build something sustainable. I would also say, write down any aha moments or deep, profound insights that come in for you this month, because chances are you might not be able to work with those ideas necessarily right at that moment, or the aha moment can feel a little bit overwhelming when it first comes in, like when that lightning bolt first strikes. And so we just want to make sure that we're writing it down, because chances are that these are going to be key areas that we will be working with for the next several months. So we will be revisiting all of this until we get to until we overcome it, until we work through it, until we build whatever it is that we're trying to build. And so whatever comes in this month for you that feels significant is significant. And these are going to be key components to a much greater storyline, right? So pay attention. And you don't have to write it down because it's going to come back. It'll keep revisiting until it's acknowledged and it's worked with. But writing it down can help you to feel like you have some level of control over the situation, right? Like you can start to plan, you can start to figure out how to work best with the energy that works for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at your own personal life path number and take a look at those full moon and new moon illuminations as well. Life path number 4. So I pulled an animal spirit message for us for October, and we got bear energy. This is a very strong leadership, independent, very powerful energy that we are working with bear spirit. There's a loyalty that also comes into this. And again, that protective sort of nature. So you think about a mother bear with its cub. There's something here where we are being asked to be very protective of whatever this is. And that could be our own energy. It could be a project that we're working on to kind of hold it dear to our heart until we're ready to share it with the world. It could also be around certain relationships, or it could also be this call to just maybe dial it back a little bit if we're being overly protective around someone or something. That's also very possible because, of course, you think of a mother bear with its cub. It's not really something you want to mess with. But for us, it could be, again, just we may have to loosen the reins a little bit, and that could go back to control. If there's something that we're really trying to control or we're really obsessive about, we could be asked to kind of calm it down a little bit, like release the grip a little bit, still be protective of whatever it is, but not get obsessed with the ownership like we had talked about in the intro. I think that's going to be important as well to kind of keep that in mind and keep that in check. Bear energy is a very noble energy, right? It's that sort of strong mothering energy, protection again. And it goes after what it wants and all those things, but there's like this it demands respect type thing. And so there's also this kind of energy coming through with bear energy for fours around if there's anywhere where you have been disrespected or you feel like you're being disrespected or your voice is not being heard, your input or your contribution is not being respected or honored, there's definitely something there to visit, to take the reins on, right? Like, especially around this eclipse energy, that's very, very possible that we're going to see where it is that we keep giving our power away, and we need to reclaim that. Last thing I want to talk about with bear energy, it's very much like this connection to the earth. Now with four energy, four is very much connected to the earth and to animals. It is, the fourth chakra is the heart chakra. So there's this very strong connection to the divine feminine, to Mother Earth, to animals, that sort of thing. And so you may feel called this month to really nurture your relationships, nurture yourself, nurture your connection to nature. Excuse me. Spend more time in nature, spend more time with animals, with children, whatever it is that sort of connects you to that more nurturing side of yourself, because fours can sometimes get serious real quickly. And so the more that we can reconnect to those things that sort of soften us a little bit and connect us to our emotions, and can work through those emotions, is going to be beneficial. Okay, so looking at the month ahead for us all, a ridiculous amount of energy around relationships, like relating to other people, not necessarily like romantic relationships, but that definitely falls within the spectrum. We've got full moon energy coming in around relationships. We've got, to other people and how we relate to other people. All of the energy around October for fours is very much about relationships, how we relate to other people, that sort of thing. And I'm going to touch on this a little bit more in depthly, and then the eclipse, we're working with 9 energy, which is very much about like something bigger than us, like the greater community. So again, relating to people beyond just ourselves. So a lot coming in this month around, again, how we relate to others, the kind of relationships that we show up to, how we participate, all of that fun stuff. Because a lot of times too, I think this is important because fours will try to do it. It's a very independent energy. And so it's not meant to be, but it is. And so we'll try to do everything ourselves, or we'll try to be that island. And that's where we trip ourselves up. And so we just need to make sure we're working with the right people, the people that will not be intimidated by what we're bringing to the table. But also we have to know when to loosen the grip and not try to control the situation, right? Okay, so for October, we are working with this 20/2 energy. This can signify major turning points for fours. that can be in relationships, it can be in business partnerships, whatever, but there's going to be some component of, again, relating to others. But we may see major turning points again. So the people that we're surrounding ourselves with, maybe that shifts. Romantic relationships could shift. Business partnerships could shift, or these people could come in at this time. And so that's very, very possible that there's a major shift or major awakening around, again, relationships and how we relate to other people, including our business relationships. Big decisions could need to be made at this time. So again, like around living situations, around partnerships, around, again, relating. I think really a lot of the focus for fours is going to come back to relationships this month. And again, how we relate to other people, how we interact, what we accept, how we view our own worth, what we'll accept and how other people show up to us, all of that stuff. So big decisions could need to be made at this time. And I really do think that will probably be around the eclipse, or at least leading up to it. You're going to feel that pretty potently. Again, newfound awareness and understanding when it comes to relationships, how we relate to other people, all of those things that I keep mentioning. Adaptability with frequent changes in direction. So if you are not used to change, don't like change, aren't comfortable with change, I mean, who is? But this could be an uncomfortable month for you, because there is going to potentially be a lot of frequent changes in direction that requires very quick decisions and adaptability. So adapting to these new shifts, adapting to, again, if clarity comes in around something, that could change the circumstances, and then we have to adapt to that. So that's very possible as well. Just typically, 4 energy doesn't love change. It's more of a fixed energy, because it's like so much on like building a foundation that's very stable and structured and likes routine and likes policy and all of those things. And so when change comes in, that disrupts that flow. But usually when that happens, change is needed. So there's very strong possibility for a lot of change at this time. So we just have to be adaptable to that and try to understand why that change is coming in and what it's trying to show us. Be open to alternatives this month. The more you try to fight that, the more uncomfortable it's going to be. So again, relating to other people, what are they bringing to the table? What perspective are they trying to show you or show us, right? I'm a 4 as well. All of these things. And so be very open to the alternatives, be open to other perspectives. Doesn't mean that you have to buy into it or that you have to completely throw the baby out with the bathwater and go with these new perspectives. But it's very possible that it's coming in for a reason. And these new ideas, these alternatives can make probably your life a little bit easier. It's that old adage of working smarter, not harder. And so these alternatives could assist you in doing that. It's very possible for a change in location at this time, a change in career, a change in relationships. These are all possible now, especially around that eclipse energy. And it's not necessarily like these big changes are going to necessarily occur right at that time, but it could be the initiation of that. And so the writing could be on the wall and you're very clearly reading it. Just don't remain idle under this energy. It's very easy sometimes for 4s because we can be very stubborn, to get in a rut and sort of get stuck in our ways because what's tried and true, it's like it works, so why change it type thing. But whatever it is that we've been doing is going to continue to give us the same results. And just because those results are quote unquote working doesn't mean that it's the best results for the situation anymore as we continue to grow. And so as these changes come in, it allows us to step into a much elevated energy, right? And so the key is to not get stuck in that rut, to not be too stubborn, and to be open to alternatives. So this could potentially be the beginning of a lot of changes for 4s, a lot of changes, but good, right? Like where it's leading us is very, very positive. We just have to be able to move through those changes. And I would say that a lot of it is going to hinge on relating to other people in some fashion. Now, for us on the full moon that's occurring on the 9th of October, this is going to bring in a lot of inspiration, or has the potential to bring in a lot of inspiration. It's going to encourage us to follow our passions, to start planning around things that really inspire us and really ignite the flame. Not doing something out of necessarily obligation or just for the fact of like getting it done because we said we would type thing, or people pleasing or whatever, but doing what really inspires us, like what really motivates us, what really gets that internal flame flared, right? So that's it's very possible under this illumination around the 9th that we get very inspired by something. And it's really important to pay attention to that, and follow it and see where that inspiration takes us. That's very, very possible at this time. There's also, again, the possibility of, again, some kind of union coming together, merging, working with others for a common goal. Something like that is very possible at this time. The key is to not disregard it and to make sure that we're investigating it. Now, around this solar eclipse that's happening on the 25th of October, again, we could see something come in at this time like a lightning bolt that feels so much bigger than us, that serves a greater purpose, that serves something much bigger than us, a greater community in some fashion, or other people, right? So it's like putting other people's needs first, not self-sacrificing or whatever, but taking into account the needs of others and then working from that space. And so it's very possible that a lot of spirituality, like spiritual insight, can come in at this time. A lot of downloads, a lot of psychic downloads. Intuition can be very strong at this time. There could be a change in direction, but that change in direction feels like it's very much aligned with your purpose. And again, what inspires you, that sort of thing. And you can kind of see how it ties into something much greater than you. This can feel like very big energy and like big shoes to step into. But you're going to have everything that you need to be able to do that. And a big piece of that could be through relationships. So pay attention to that. But ultimately, there's the possibility for a tremendous amount of change, shift in direction, awareness and awakening. And again, like how we relate to other people, but also on like a much bigger scale. So, and how our contribution can have a much bigger impact, globally even, right? For some people. So a lot coming in here around our gifts and what we contribute and how that can sort of have an impact in a bigger scope, right? Very, very powerful energies this month. 4 is very powerful. So I hope it's a beautiful month for you all. I'm right there with you. And I hope this was helpful. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.